Jimmy, you know that we've cheered you on for 26, 27 years. I didn't cheer you on when you were with the Statler brothers. I always cheered on the underdog. And the Statlers, they were at the top of the heap. They weren't the underdog. They didn't need me because they had so many other fans. When the Statlers retired, Jimmy became the underdog because he was out on his own. And that's when we started cheering you on. That's when we fell in love with you. Now, a story that you've told me over the years, and I'd like you to tell it to the friends here, to talk about how much of an underdog he was. Now, you went from the Statler brothers, the top of the heap, to playing the fair in New York.
The New York
Tell
fair.
me about that.
Yeah, I started trying to get work, and I was doing these interviews and things, and you could tell people were saying, well, like, I even had one guy, he didn't say it in front of me, but I heard him. It was a radio DJ getting ready to do an interview, and they told him, we're going to interview Jimmy Fortune. I was in the next room, and he said, he's one of the Statler brothers, he said, Jimmy Fortune, he said, I know the Statler brothers, but I don't know who Jimmy Fortune is. And he said, what's one Statler brother? They said, you know, and it hit me, you know, and I'm like, he's got a point, you know. But I said, you got to start somewhere. And so I started getting work, and I was taking not whatever I could get, but something that I would call and say, hey, you know, or I didn't actually call. I would let people call me. I didn't like to make cold calls, and I was trying to get a booking agency. So I had a couple that threw little things out there and said, well, we got something for you here, we got something for you there. And then one came in and said, this fair in New York, they want to hire you to come up there. And so I said, okay, I'll go. And so I'm in my Suburban. That's what I had to travel in. And I go up there, I get to this fair out in the middle of nowhere, really. And I said, pulled up at the gate, and I said, I'm Jimmy Fortune, I'm entertainment for tonight. And I said, just need to know where I got to go. He said, well, you go through that gate and across the racetrack, and you're set up, ready to go down on the racetrack down there in front of the grandstand. I said, oh, okay. So I opened up the gate, I crossed the gate, I looked down there, and there's 2 PV speakers sitting up on it and a microphone sitting in the middle of the racetrack. That's it, one mic. And I go down there and I'm like, wow. I get my guitar, go out to do a little sound check to see if everything's working. And I said, I need a place to dress and change. And there's a horse trailer coming through the track, his truck pulling the horse trailer. There's your dressing room right there. And I said, what? He said, yeah. So it's a horse trailer. He pulls up behind the speakers there on the stage and beside my Suburban. And I go to get my clothes out, and I'll get in the trailer, and they didn't even clean it out. It's got horse crap in it and everywhere. And I'm sitting there, and I just look up, and I said, well, life after the Statler brothers, this is what it's going to be like, Jimbo. And I just went on from there. And then I had maybe 100 people in the grandstands that night. There was a demolition derby going on behind the grandstands with 5,000 people sitting out there. So I had my 100 people out there, and I'm trying to play over that, you know, sound. So I went to the guy, the head of the fair, and I said, sir, I said, all due respect to you. I said, well, why did you have me here? He said, because I'm a big fan. I love you, and I saw you were out there working, and I said, I wanted to give you some work. So I had you come up here. I said, well, I really appreciate it. But I said, it sure didn't do much for my ego. I can tell you that right now. I had to drop whatever ego I had to put it aside and start all over. Well, and, you know, I did.
That's when we fell in love with Jimmy Fortune.
Yeah.
That's when we started cheering you on. And we couldn't have picked a better guy to cheer on. You're an extra special person. When anytime your name comes up, I say, he's the greatest man on earth.
Oh, well, that's mighty kind of you, but I don't feel like that. But I just feel like I had a purpose, and God still wanted to use me, and I promised God that whatever I did would be to honor him with my music and not do anything that would deter anybody from being a follower of Christ or someone who you could bring your children to my shows and they could sit there and go, hey, you're not going to hear anything that's going to be not going to be something good to go into their ears and to their heart, you know.
And you know I brought my child
Yes,
to your
and
show.
I've seen her grow up, and now you've got this beautiful little grandbaby.
And I can't wait to bring my granddaughter to a Jimmy Fortune concert, and it'll be all those generations.
Well, you know, I've got a grandson coming up in number 14 coming up in February.
14.
Yeah, he'll be a little boy.
Wow.
Number 14, and God's really blessed me. The best words in my book is Daddy and Papa. That's the best words, you know, for me in my life. I just swell up with so much pride when I see one of them.
Jimmy, besides Story of an American Dreamer, your brand new autobiography, what else you got going this year?
Well, I have a CD called Songs of an American Dreamer, which kind of fits with this, and a DVD that goes along with it that I recorded live at Ricky Skaggs' new studio up in Hendersonville. And it's a live, I wanted it to be real. You know, all the AI stuff that you see out there today,
Yes.
I see so many things. People call me up,
Oh.
are you okay, Jimmy? I see
know,
you and you're
it's
dying
crazy.
and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. But when I said, I want this to be real, I said, we're going in the studio. We're not going to do any overdubs. We're going to sit down and talk. And Ricky and Sharon did the interview portion of the thing and of the video. And we would talk about a song and talk about my life, and I would go into it with a song that I had written or a song that meant a lot to me growing up, and songs that kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. And so what you hear and what you see is totally real. There's nothing fake about it. We didn't even do overdubs. We didn't go back and do a song over. I think we had to do one song over, one song. And I even forgot what that one was. But otherwise, we went all the way through. So it's real. Yeah.
Only took you about 11 years.
Yeah.
So for the sequel, you'll be 81 years old when it comes out?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But I got to start writing down some stories, and it'll be little short stories. It could be Jimmy Fortune short stories.
The great Jimmy Fortune. What a joy,
Thank
Jimmy.
you, Scott.
Thank
you
you
too, buddy. God bless you, my friend.
God bless you and Nina
Yeah.
and all of your family and all those 14 grandkids.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a chance to see Jimmy Fortune on the road, be sure to. You won't regret it.
Thank you, buddy. God bless you.